Michelle Patterson, thank you so much for joining me on this new series I put together. We have known each other for how long? I mean, so
At
many
least
years.
a decade. I mean, we've been actually longer. I think I want to say 15 years because we were
Yeah,
doing Taste of Ladera, 30,000,
I
21
know.
charities supported, and then California Women's Conference. I mean, you've been my go-to right hand steady Eddie. I mean, I've just absolutely loved running with you, and you have
Thank
the
you.
biggest heart.
Thank you.
And you show up. I mean, I remember the first conversation we had when I had my diagnosis and you came over. You were one of the first friends that I had that came over, and we sat there and we laughed and we cried, but I felt so supported.
Absolutely. I adore you, which
Really
is,
cool.
I admire you so much because you're always doing different things and you are constantly building on those things and you have these very strong relationships. And one of the reasons I thought of this series is because, as I told you offline, how, yes, it's great to focus on your self-care and your resilience and your mental health, physical, emotional. However, what about the financial funks people are in right now? What about the millions of people that are out of work? What are they going to do and be resilient? I've had many lost opportunities right now. I'm sure you have. So I came up with the idea of, what about the people that want to find work remotely and they don't want to throw their resumes into this black hole on Indeed or wherever it is, and they feel like nothing's happening? Where are the jobs? Where are the opportunities? But also, what about the people that say, you know what, now feels like the time for me to really start my own thing, which is what you have done for years. So I kind of want to tap into that. Do you think that is really part of your personality, who you have always been, like create and be unique? Where does that come from?
Well, it definitely comes from my parents. Both of them were the oldest in the family, definitely trailblazers. I grew up thinking I could do and achieve anything that I set my mind to.
Amazing.
I was student body president of my high school, student body president of my college. I went to Loyola Marymount University. I thought, you know what, if it's something that interests you, it fires you up, you have passion around it, you
Hmm.
absolutely can do it. That's what I thought. And I still think that. I think that the individuals that want to go after it and they have a passion for something, that there are individuals that are on the planet that absolutely have resources. And it's as simple as asking for the support, and people want to help. We're happiest as humans when we are of service and we are giving back. And so for me, my big thing, and I light up, is when I see other people reaching their success that they've
Yes.
targeted to go after. It fills me up. I'm extremely collaborative. I love working in a team environment,
You're
and
great
just
at that.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I'm I I'm able to check myself. I say this, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Meaning, when I get going and I get really passionate, is just to slow down and make sure that I'm checking in with individuals to find out what's their genius, what lights them up, what do they need, what resources are they without, that I can go ahead and help connect the dots and connect them so that they can pursue their dream, their mission.
Hmm.
Because I believe that individually we can't do it,
Right. I
um,
agree.
but collectively we absolutely can. And I think that's the beauty of having this human experience as spiritual beings, is that we get to come down to this planet and interact with one another, and that's how we're able to co-create
Yes.
and really put, you know I refer to it as crowdsourcing miracles, but really put these pieces together when we are so transparent. There's no judgment. It's just coming together, saying, what's working, what's not working, and what's your area of expertise. What do
Yes,
you like to
definitely.
do? And then putting it together.
Right. Well, what I hear also you saying is, you have this ability to say, you know what, my idea here's my idea, but it might not be the correct idea or the best idea, but we're going to take my idea and what do you have to offer? And what do you think of my idea? But you aren't held and tied to that idea. You're willing to be open to the possibility of making your idea greater with a team that supports you. So there's not like this ego, you know what I mean? Some people, let's say if you're a screenwriter, you might say, oh, this is my script and this is the way I want it to be. But when you let the feedback in, you can become better and smarter. And so that's what I love about you, is because you're really open to being successful as a team, not as an individual.
Thank you. And I do that because it's far, far, far exceeds my expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Like it comes back. I mean, we're coming off the cuffs of Love Fest 2020.
Amazing.
I just shared with you this event that started as a 50th birthday celebration. And it went from, I had Wyland, who did a live painting for not only for me, but we had childhelp.org,
Mm-hmm.
COVID-19, because we've got families that are in crisis. And so
Yes.
childhelp.org is doing just really, really great things to provide resources for these families and for children.
It's beautiful.
And yeah, and I'm still glowing because of how it was, extremely insightful. I mean, I had individuals that got on, it was 18 hours. So we broke the record for the longest running Love Fest.
Marathon.
And the content was so valuable that people are still reaching out to me saying, I want to meet with the individuals that you have on your wellness team family.
That's great.
And that's what happened. It's going through this diagnosis, I said, you know what, I'm not a doctor. I don't have, years and years of experience in cancer, but I do know that I need to get this information so that I can heal. And I felt like when I was told stage 4 breast cancer, I thought, you know what, wait a minute. This is not okay that we only have 3 options. And it was chemo, radiation, and surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And with surgery, I wasn't a candidate for surgery because it had metastasized so much that I only had 2 options, and that was chemo and radiation. And I went on this quest to find out what's possible on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, you know what, if this doesn't go as planned, and I do end up, one of the doctors had said, you have 90 days to live. And I thought, okay, first of all, no.
And when was this? When was the date announced to you?
April 15th. And so I've gone, through the year, and Janeane, I'm feeling healthier, more alive. I am not only surviving, but I'm thriving.
You are.
I just feel like I'm doing my life's work, and that is being an advocate for patients. Yes. And letting them know that they can have a beautiful experience. It doesn't need to be what it was with my grandmother, who passed away from cancer, and she was wailing, and they kept giving her more drugs, and it ended up where she wasn't available. I mean, I couldn't even have a conversation with her, in the last few months before she passed, and it went very, very quickly. Yeah, there was that pain, and for me, it's really been bringing in those solutions, not making it about whether you do chemo or you do radiation or you do something magnet therapy, or you do. I mean, it's really owning your wellness.
Sure.
And coming to the table and saying, you know what, I have this amount of time. I am able now with technology. I mean, we can go around the planet and find out what's available and what's out there.
Which is what you did.
Which is what I did. Yeah. And I put together this wellness team family of the most incredible thought leaders on the planet. I mean, these doctors that are on it, they're saying, I've never had a conversation like this, where we have these Zoom calls and it's talking about my health, and I'm bringing up other questions, and the community that I've been developing are also bringing up questions, and they're asking my doctors about what the best protocol is and what that best step is. And then I'm able to take that information and create my own playbook of
Yes.
what pertains to me. And the act of doing that, you fall in love with yourself, truly.
That's incredible. You know, and you created this sense of hope and optimism, not just with you, but with the people that listen to you and that were part of Love Fest. Because, you know, they do think, oh, if it's not this, what my doctor says, or that, then there's no other options. But you're living proof that there are other routes to go. And then, so while you're also doing this for your health, you're putting together this mega online series, you know, this program, 18-hour program, which, you know, you're not sitting around thinking about your health. You're thinking, how can I help other people? But that's how you roll.
I've been having the time of my life, and partly because I'm doing my essence. I'm doing why I was put on the planet. And for me, I think we have a tremendous opportunity to take this situation and collectively come together and share what we know and alleviate despair. Because when I had that diagnosis and I was in the hospital and it came up, and I've shared this with you, my husband at the time was reading Jordan Peterson's book, The 12 Rules.
Okay.
Chapter 2 is treat yourself like somebody you're responsible for. And
Yeah.
in doing so, a lot of times individuals respond based on what they think others want them to do. And they don't really go inside and say, okay, what is it that my body needs?
Mm-hmm.
And they don't look at it as one collective body, mind, body, soul, spirit. They're so concerned, and I was a classic people pleaser up until the diagnosis. And then I found out that, you know what, in order to heal, I need to bring 100% joy into my life. So I cannot be brokering any deals
Right.
with individuals that I don't believe in. I cannot be working on any projects where I don't believe in the products. They're not socially responsible. So I go through my litmus test. And then once I find something that I absolutely believe in, I'm using it, I love it, I want everybody to know about it because I want them to have the same experience that I'm having.
Yeah. You're a living, breathing, you know, example of what works and what doesn't, you know. Sometimes you have to realize, like, what are the toxic behaviors and the toxic people sometimes that are in your life, and just say, no, thanks. That's not good for me.
Well, and I realized too, is that because I am the gatekeeper, I get to decide what response comes in to my internal ecosystem and what response goes out of my internal ecosystem, and really, really navigate this. And I uncovered that oftentimes I'm the bully on my playground.
Yeah.
I'm showing up and being that Doubting Thomas and telling myself that,
God bless
I
you.
can't do it.
It's amazing how you can sneeze and keep talking. That's how talented you are.
which is what my favorite topic is, and something that I've really resonated with is creating this environment where I'm creating my experience that I want, and it is bringing me 100% joy. And that's hard to do. A lot of times people think, oh, you know, going around being positive and everything's great, everything, it's actually challenging.
It's
not
is.
easy,
Right.
like people think. I think it is. But to be able to come in and say honestly and with integrity, what is it that I want to experience, and what do I want to have as part of my day, and really focus on the things that lift me up versus the things that really drag me down.
Yes.
And I'm not working on any of that. In fact, I am delegating that out or simply removing it entirely from my schedule.
Good. You know, one thing that I hear you saying, and that I also know you for this, is that the things that bring you joy, like for instance, Love Fest, on a day where you might wake up and not feel so good, that your projects, the things you do and that you believe in, lift you up and take you out of those tough moments in life. So for me, having my radio show Get the Funk Out in 2011 after I lost a friend of mine lifted me up. The people I got to talk to, it was a privilege to start this. And then having something makes you resilient through more challenging times because you have this thing to believe in, you have this passion, and it just gives you that sense of optimism and drive in life when life is rocky. Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is along the same lines with what you said, is that when we own our experience,
Mm-hmm.
we can co-create whatever we want. I'm a huge, huge believer in that. And so much so when I am having an off day and I feel it actually in my body.
Yes.
And I will stop. I will listen to what my body's saying. I will rest and really, put light on that particular area that I'm not feeling good.
Yeah.
And within minutes, I start feeling differently.
Mm-hmm.
I think that we are oftentimes in a state of flight and fright where we're not able to navigate through this because we are completely out of sorts.
Yeah, I know.
And when we can sit down and just calm ourselves down and recognize that, what is it going to take to make me feel safe in my environment? And that's what I'm finding is oftentimes the interactions that you're having with other individuals, they're upset because they're not feeling safe. And so if you can come together minus the stigmas and the judgment, and recognizing we're all in this together, we're all
You're
facing
absolutely right.
some massive adversity.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of going at it, against each other, it's let's go at it and say, okay, Janeane can bring in this piece
Mm-hmm.
of the spoke in the wheel, and I can bring in my genius,
Mm-hmm.
and you can bring in this piece. And all of a sudden what happens is something extraordinary happens, is that you are able to create something that is just way, way beyond anything that you expected. I've had that with the partnerships that I've had in the projects I've done. The last company that I created with my business partner, Kim Kovacs, we put together a cannabis company and we were able to sell it in 5 months. And the whole intention of the company was to provide cannabis for women based on sleep, pain, anxiety, stress. I then get the diagnosis, didn't realize I would also be utilizing it for, cannabis for cancer. And lo and behold, the PET scan showed from one PET scan to the next PET scan, a drop in the tumors, 52%.
I couldn't believe that when you told me.
And Dr. Greg over at Hoag Hospital, he said, you know what, we don't see results like that with the treatments that we're doing. And Michelle needs to keep doing exactly what she's doing. And that's been the one constant that I've had the entire year. And what's so fascinating is that my dad was a former narcotic agent. And of course, he's supportive on, whatever you need to take.
Sure.
But to have him be
Supportive.
yeah, it's just been fascinating. This whole entire process has just been fascinating, which lends me to believe it's again, individually, we don't have the answers, but when we come together collectively, we do. And I've learned so much from you and, listening to your panel discussions and the insight that you bring to the table and the questions that you ask. It has been, not only for me, but for the California Women's Conference and for all the members that we have in the community. I mean, they asked me specifically when you're going to be on.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, I literally get that. So I'm like, I've got to get her on regular basis for the real share, because you're doing that, and it's exciting to see again when we come together, just really with an open heart and talk about what's working, and then share real life testimonials.
Yes.
Individuals that are experiencing this, who all they want to do is help.
I know. I think I shared my mantra I came up with a while ago, which is sometimes the worst thing that happens to you turns out to be the best thing that ever happened. And I want people to know, especially now in this series and beyond, that you might be going through a really dark time. It's really hard being in quarantine. There's stress in homes, and there's just so much going on where perhaps you have a loved one that you've lost, or someone in the hospital you cannot see. But sometimes an idea will come to you, and try to water that idea, try to grow that idea and network. And that's why I wanted to do this, because I thought there are so many people going through the hardest of times that we never, ever, ever could fathom. And here we are. And how can I contribute to possibly helping, even if it's just a few people, find work or come up with a new direction in life or have hope? And so that's why I wanted you and other people, and to build this network of support, you know?
And that, I think, is so exciting, is that I feel like I have a total support system. It's different than I felt in the past. And I'll share this with you. You know, and you've known me for, again, we've talked about this, you know, over 15 years, is this mindset of being the CEO, type A personality. You know, I've got to do it. I've got to be on top of it. Perfectionist. And just running to the point where when I went into the hospital, they had said, you know, you have a pinched nerve, you know, go home. And then
Pinched nerve?
Pinched nerve, said it feels different than a pinched nerve. I went back in, same thing, left side, pinched nerve. And then the third time I went back in, and it was a biopsy, and then it moved into, you know, stage 4. But I point that out because I think for me, the lesson here is that, again, I don't have to do it all myself. I literally have to just step into doing my genius and my talents, and I don't have to be everything to everybody.
That's right.
And a lot of people think that, where they go through because of this people pleaser mindset, and because they have to have all the balls juggling in the air all the time. And for me, those balls came crashing down, and I had to come up with an entirely new way of doing Michelle and doing life. And so what I came up with was that I would just do the things that brought me joy. I'm one of those individuals where I can't tell the difference between work and play, because I love the work that I do.
Yeah.
I love work. I love the passion. I love this. Like right now for me, this is playtime. This is awesome. It's doing the work that I want to do and helping individuals that are going through a WTF moment. They need a wellness team family. And so creating that safety net and putting that structure in place.
Yes.
And what I did was I partnered with individuals that they had this incredible genius. For example, Kim Kovacs, when we started the company, we ended up selling it in 5 months.
What? I know you told me that before, but I just still can't believe it.
Well, and what's so awesome about that is I was able to go in and do what I do, and that is be that spokesperson and that megaphone.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, we were in everything from Vogue to, I mean, across the board, we were just, it was
Amazing.
And then on top of that, you have Kim, my business partner, who is incredible at her genius, which is raising capital and funding and really putting together a incredible just organization that can distribute and get healthy resources to women based on sleep, pain, anxiety, and provide solutions. And then that combo came together, and what you're doing is you're 10xing yourself. And that's what I would say to folks that are, you know, looking at their day and struggling and having a lot of stress is, are they doing the things that light them up? Are they doing their genius? And if not, what can they do to get into their lane and stay in their lane?